600,000 light-years from Earth, in a committee chamber orbiting a dead star, the faculty of the Sentient Variant Institute has been summoned for an emergency meeting. The agenda: 1 document, 2 humans, and the most precise system of astrology ever devised by a carbon-based species. This is the Hamburg School, and its midpoints are about to change how this faculty sees the universe.
Order, order. The item before us is a petition from the planet Earth. A system of interpretation called, I can barely pronounce it, Uranian astrology. Born in the city of Hamburg. Developed by a surveyor and a schoolmaster. This committee of cosmic beings will now determine whether this astrology is the most profound geometry ever discovered by a mortal species, or the most elaborate delusion in a small, wet solar system. The floor is yours, historian.
Thank you, Chair. The files are remarkable. Earth year 1878. A human named Alfred Witt is born in Hamburg. A surveyor by trade. A measurer of land who spends his life triangulating the physical Earth. In 1914 a great war ignites Europe, and Witt serves on the Eastern Front, where he does something extraordinary. He attempts to predict the timing of enemy artillery bombardments using the positions of the planets.
He predicted artillery fire with astrology? How many of his comrades died on the strength of that?
Remarkably, his own records suggest he became disturbingly accurate. And here is the insight. When his predictions worked, they rarely worked through the planets themselves. They worked through the empty spaces between them, the midpoints. After the war, on a full moon evening in October of 1925, Witt gathered with the schoolmaster Friedrich Siegrun and 19 other astrologers in Hamburg, and they founded what the world would call the Hamburg School. Siegrun became Witt's indispensable partner, the calculator to Witt's visionary. Witt postulated 4 hypothetical planets beyond Neptune. Siegrun computed 4 more. Together they built a system Witt defiantly named, the Astrology of Tomorrow. In 1932, it was published as the Regelwerk, the rulebook for planetary pictures.
Let me display the 8 points, the so-called transneptunians. Note carefully, no telescope has ever seen them. They are not bodies, they are mathematically deduced positions in space, first inferred because the dial kept pointing at empty degrees that were, nevertheless, activated. Witt named his 4, Cupido, Hades, Zeus, Kronos. Siegrun computed 4 more, Apollon, Admetos, Vulcanus, Poseidon. 8 invisible coordinates, and each one is a function of the whole system. Consider their orbital periods, the speed of their function. Cupido, 262 years, the fastest, the principle of community, family, belonging. Hades, roughly 360 years, disintegration, decomposition, analysis down to bare components. Zeus, 455 years, directed, aimed energy, the glyph itself is drawn like a rocket. Kronos, 521 years, mastery, authority, the professional. Apollon, nearly 6 centuries, expansion, science, commerce, success. Admetos, 617 years, condensation, compression, the point of termination. Vulcanus, 663 years, sustained force, the mighty. And Poseidon, 720 years, spiritual illumination, the high ideal. Slow, vast, generational, almost like us.
They are beautiful. Cupido is drawn from Venus and Jupiter, love and fortune, because community is where love becomes luck. Hades is a cup poured out. What breaks must be analyzed before it can be rebuilt. Zeus, a rocket aimed at a target. Vulcanus, a volcano of force. The glyphs are tiny hieroglyphs of their function. Whoever designed these symbols understood that a sign must carry its meaning in its shape.
The engine of the system is not a chart, it is a dial. On the 360-degree dial, the zodiac is arranged as it appears in the sky, 12 signs of 30 degrees. But the Hamburg masterstroke is the 90-degree dial. The entire circle is divided by 4, and every cardinal sign, Aries, Cancer, Libra, Capricorn, is folded into the first 30 degrees. The fixed signs occupy the second 30, the mutable, the third. All squares become conjunctions. The dial folds the circle like a piece of origami, and suddenly symmetry becomes visible to the eye.
Why 90? Why not 60? Or 45?
Because 90 is the fourth harmonic, the harmonic of tension, of materialization, of events. Witt needed to time bombardments, skeptic. He needed to see the exact moments of crystallization. And he could. The movable dial sweeps the sky, set its pointer on any degree, and every pair of points arranged symmetrically around that pointer declares itself at a glance. On the 360 dial, the fixed cardinal axis, the 8-armed cross, marks the moments where the hard aspects live. The fundamental object is the midpoint, the half-sum. Take any 2 points in the sky, A and B. Their midpoint is A plus B, divided by 2. The degree exactly halfway between them, measured along the shortest arc. A simple bisection. Here, place the Sun at 10 degrees of Aries, the Moon at 20 degrees of Aquarius. The shortest arc between them is 50 degrees, the halfway point falls at 15 degrees of Pisces. That degree is a place in space where two influences meet, and on the dial, it becomes a live node. But the half-sum alone is static. The genius is the planetary picture, Witt's equation. A plus B equals C plus D when the midpoint of A and B coincides with the midpoint of C and D. When two pairs stack symmetrically on the same degree, the sky forms a sentence. Sun-Moon equals Jupiter-Saturn. Mars-Venus equals ascendant midheaven. Each equation is a statement about the life, the self-image, structured by expansion and contraction, desire, fused with the horizon of the self.
Witt called it the rule for planetary pictures, and he gave the human being a strange and beautiful name, a receiving station for cosmic suggestions. A receiver, not an origin. The midpoints are the antennae.
The spaces between. Continue.
Take an event, any event, and run it through the dial. Erect the chart for the exact moment. Place every planet and the two personal points, the ascendant and the midheaven. Now ask the dial a question. Put the pointer on the midpoint of the ascendant and midheaven, the axis of the moment. Watch. Whenever a third point falls exactly on that midpoint, or opposite it, or square to it, or semi-square to it, the axis is activated. Witt found that the moment of an event would light up like a circuit, not one planet causing anything, but the entire geometry agreeing, from several independent pairs, on the same degree.
Several pairs, several chances for coincidence.
Which is precisely why the school developed the discipline of confirmation. One picture is a hint. 3 pictures stacked on the same degree is a sentence. A whole tree of midpoints agreeing on one point, that is a biography. The practitioner counts confirmations before pronouncing a picture fulfilled. That is the difference between divination and measurement. From pairs, we build trees. A midpoint tree is the full branching structure of one point against every other, Sun-Moon, Sun-Mercury, Sun-Venus, every combination, sorted by degree. In the old days, Hamburg astrologers drew these trees by hand on graph paper, using midpoint sorting. List every half-sum, arrange them around the dial, and read the clusters.
And when you sort them, patterns leap out that no single aspect could ever reveal. 3 midpoints landing within 1 degree of the same point. The same word repeated 3 times by different planetary voices. That repetition is the signature of a real picture, not a random scatter. It is the difference between one bird singing and a chorus.
Precisely, and the strongest cluster we call the axis. A midpoint axis is the spine of a chart, the few degrees around which the midpoints of the entire horoscope gather. Find the axis, and you have found the core sentence of a life, the thing that will keep being written, over and over, until it is resolved.
And this is why the Hamburg School never died. In 1936, the Nazi regime banned Witt's rulebook. In 1941, astrologers were interned, and Witt, under police observation, his work burned, took his own life. But the system had already escaped. It was carried to America by Richard Svela, who translated the rules for planetary pictures and gave the method the name, Uranian astrology, in honor of the planet of sudden insight. From that seed grew the modern branches, Cosmobiology's Reinhold Eberton kept the dial and stripped away the hypotheticals. The purists kept all 8 transneptunians and the full width rules. Either way, the practice survived, because every practitioner is, as the old texts say, a dial detective.
The school survives because the method can be tested. A picture either repeats, or it does not. That is the only immortality that matters.
Enough. The faculty will vote. Is the Hamburg school, the dial, the midpoints, the 8 invisible points, a true description of cosmic order, or a mortal delusion?
It is the most rigorous attempt a measuring species has ever made to read the geometry of fate.
It is mathematics. It is the sky's own grammar.
It is art. It maps the invisible symmetries that bind us to one another.
It is a hypothesis, but an honest one, because it can fail, and because it keeps being confirmed. I vote. Admit it to the library.
Then it is decided. The Hamburg school is admitted to the archives of the Sentient Variant Institute. And we will watch the humans, and the degrees between them, with great interest. Meeting adjourned.
From a full moon meeting in Hamburg in 1925, to a committee of cosmic beings beyond the veil, the midpoint technique endures because it works. If you want to learn to read your own chart like a dial detective, the resources are out there. The rulebook, the dials, the midpoint trees. And if you want more deep dives into the stranger corners of astrological technique, tell the algorithm. The faculty is always in session.